very good evening to you. You're right on time for Citizen Sunday Live. We have lots in store for you, including how Kenyan athletes are raising Kenya's flag high in Tokyo during the World Championships. We also have our continued coverage of Ruto at 3. Our focus tonight is on agriculture. And speaking of agriculture and green, we have Dr. Isaac Kalua Green. He launched this book today, Green for Life. I haven't had a chance to read the entire book. I have, however, scanned through the initial chapters, and I can tell you already, to quote Jeff Koinange, smoking. So it talks about how his father used to stroll the gardens of State House with President Moi. He'll tell us more on that and a lot more on how he got into all things green. So let's take a look at the highlights and get started. Here is what you can expect.
The world champion is Perez Jepchirchir. Ethiopia takes second with Tigst Assefa.
Another gold medal for Kenya. Perez Jepchirchir outsprints Ethiopia's Assefa to clinch gold in World Marathon, placing Kenya in second position on the medals table.
It's not easy because the issue happened was around a place where there were no, CCTV cameras.
Lawyer Mbobu murder probe. No breakthrough in investigations as 3 persons of interest are released after questioning.
Rigathi Gachagua will restore the dignity of the payslip by scrapping the first day the housing levy.
I am suitable for president. DCP leader Rigathi Gachagua declares himself fit, pledging to scrap housing levy if elected. More deaths on the road. 3 killed and scores injured in a road crash in Kirinyaga.
Is around him, unlike in the late slain MP Ongondo Weri's case, where suspects were captured on CCTV trailing him. Meanwhile, 3 persons of interest who were in police custody in connection with the murder have been released.
Close to a week after the assassination of lawyer Chalo Mbobu along Magadi Road, investigators are yet to arrest the man who shot him 8 times before escaping using a motorbike. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen now says lack of CCTV cameras along that stretch has left detectives in the dark.
It's not easy because it was in an area that, unlike the one for Ongondo Were, which was a bit very, very fast, it was because the area where the issue happened was around a place where there were no CCTV cameras.
Murkomen, who termed the incident unfortunate, says though there have been challenges with CCTV cameras, police have gathered crucial information from people who are close to Mbobu with the intention of trying to know the motive of his killers.
Because he's a lawyer, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is to think through whether someone was exerting some revenge or attack by virtue of his professional duties. And of course, you look at other motives. So the DCI has interviewed a number of people who are close to him in his workplace, family, and then reviewing various information.
Actions the CS Interior believes will give answers and lead to the arrest of the main suspects. Meanwhile, 3 people arrested by police as part of the ongoing investigations have been released from police custody. George Wainaina, Eric Mohia and Paul Mbugua were set free on Saturday night after investigators failed to get evidence linking them to the assassination. Through their lawyer Maulid Bare Musa, the 3 who interacted with the lawyer on the fateful day termed their arrest and detention as malicious, unjustified and a reckless abuse of police powers. Bare says his clients were released after forensic phone analysis, the ballistic examination of the firearm, and the alibis independently verified they were not connected to the murder. A memorial service is expected to be held on Monday at All Saints Cathedral in his honor. The late lawyer Mbobu is expected to be buried on Wednesday 17th at the family home in Mua. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
The body of a missing construction worker at the Talanta Sports Stadium was found Saturday morning, a week after his wife reported his disappearance. Sami Chengo, a male adult aged 35 years, was found floating in a water sump located behind the terraces under construction on the left side of the Talanta Stadium. Ode Francis reports on the mystery death.
Talanta Sports Stadium in Nairobi, an ambitious project that aims to boost the country's sports fortunes. At approximately 9 a.m. Saturday morning, the 13th of September, a casual laborer working on the stadium's construction made a grim discovery. While clearing one of these rooms to prepare for plastering, he noticed several boards covering what appeared to be a water sump.
Tumeshtuliwa kuambiwa kwamba kuna jamaa ambaye amepatikana pale akiwa ametumbukizwa ndani ya maji.
Tumeambiwa Chengo ameuawa na ametupwa kwa shimo ambayo kuna maji.
The laborer found Sami Chengo's lifeless body after removing the boards. Investigators noted visible injuries on the back of Chengo's head and the right side of his neck. Blood was reportedly oozing from his nose and mouth. Chengo's wife had been searching for him since Saturday the 6th September. His phone had been offline. Outside the gate, construction workers have been told not to report today.
Tumeshtuka sana na bado tuko na wasiwasi na tunajiuliza kwamba in whose hands are we safe?
Scene of crime investigators CSI from Nairobi area transported Chengo's body to the Nairobi funeral home after processing the scene.
Watu wa ofisi walikuwa hawajapeana habari yoyote kwa wakubwa wao. Ndio niliona mkubwa captain nikamuelezea. Sasa hii kitu imejulikana kutoka kwa captain.
Jamaa hakuwa anakosana na mtu, alikuwa tu anakula haki yake. Kwa hivyo mimi ile naomba haki yake itendeke.
An autopsy is expected to shed more light on the cause of Chengo's death. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
3 people have been killed and 3 others seriously injured in a road accident involving a vehicle ferrying Mira, which collided with boda bodas in the Kirinyaga County. The Mira carrying vehicle was heading towards Nairobi from Kirinyaga when it rammed the boda bodas at Makutano Junction in Mwea. Amongst the deceased was a pillion passenger on one of the boda bodas who died while receiving treatment. Eyewitnesses say the vehicle was speeding at the time of the accident.
Mostly watu wa Mira, hebu waache kuoverspeed na kuoverlap. Hiyo ndio kitu mostly yenye inaua watu hapa.
Sasa kulikuwa na kipikipi kwa barabara, ilikuwa inakuja wakienda ku overtake ndio waligonga hiyo mtu wa nduthi. Sasa magari ile ingine ilikuwa imemfuata ikawa zimepigana zote kwa barabara.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has declared a shift from traditional campaign promises, saying his focus will be on tackling Kenya's crippling debt and stabilizing the economy. Gachagua says his mission is to follow in the footsteps of the late President Mwai Kibaki and reverse key policies introduced by President William Ruto, including the housing levy. With that particular report is Melita Oletenkes.
A day after officially announcing his presidential bid, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua seems to be hitting the road running, taking a swipe at critics who said he had no clear vision for the country. The former Deputy President says he's shifting away from traditional campaign rhetoric and is instead driven by a singular mission.
I don't want to promise you lies that I'll build roads, I'll build dams, I'll connect electricity. Those are lies. The country is almost broke. We have a debt of 12 trillion. So telling people I'll do this, I'll do that, the wongo. I want to do only one thing, to restore the Kenyan state, to where Mwai Kibaki left us.
Aligning himself with the script of leadership of the late President Kibaki, Gachagua vowed to reverse the controversial taxation measures imposed by the Ruto administration.
Regarding Gachagua, we will restore the dignity of the payslip by scrapping the first day the housing levy and handing over all those houses to the county governments to manage them, collect rent, and pay back all those whose money was deducted.
Gachagua has also hit back at his former boss for undermining his education and administrative acumen.
Mwai Kibaki, the greatest president Kenya has ever had, a great man, very focused economist, went to the prestigious Makerere University for his bachelor's degree. Later on, he went to the London School of Economics for master's. In his 10 years presidency, Mwai Kibaki never took the microphone to lecture the people of Kenya about how educated he was. He never. Yet, the things he did, everybody can see.
Gachagua questioned the achievements of the current administration, insisting that even with a professor as deputy president, the government has been marred by instability and scandal.
When we look at the one saying how educated he is, in 3 years, the things he has done, abductions and extrajudicial killings, theft of public resources, destruction of the health system, destruction of the education system, gangs and militias harassing women all over. That, to him, is a benefit of education.
Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
President William Ruto has continued to defend the construction of a church at State House, Nairobi, saying there is a need to have a spacious place for the State House staff to worship in. Speaking when he attended a church service at the Interdenominational Chapel, the president called on Kenyans to remain united and shun divisive politics. A high court in Nairobi issued temporary orders stopping the construction of the facility, but has raised concerns about the cost and legality of the structure.
Tukiwa hapa katika State House, Mungu atatupatia neema pia tupate mahali pengine ambayo tutapata nafasi ya kuabudu bila ya watu wengine kukaa nje. Na I'm confident that God is going to make provision for us to have a place where we can worship God in this compound.
All right, we take a break, but coming up, as promised, we get into a special coverage of President William Ruto's 3 years in office with a special focus on agriculture. In fact, we'll also be hearing from the KALRO chair who is in Nyeri, and he'll be giving his 2 cents on the subject. In addition to that, do not forget that we have Dr. Isaac Kalua Green speaking on his newly launched book, Green for Life. It's right here, right next to me, so I haven't lost it. And actually, speaking of churches, he speaks about how his father built a church in State House. The first, I believe. Well, he'll give us all the details, so stay tuned.
Sasa tulikuwa tunashindwa kama wamesiaga miwa na hawalipi wakulima, hawalipi wafanyakazi. Ni nini aswa ilikuwa inafanyika?
Coming up on our series Ruto at 3, it has been mixed performance in agriculture despite interventions implemented by the government.
Imperial Gardens Kikuyu by Username Properties. Just 15 minutes from Kikuyu town, get your 8th acre plot for just 1.249 million shillings. SMS plot to 20321 or call 0725 000 222.
The agriculture sector is undoubtedly the backbone of Kenya's economy. Besides creating employment, the sector ensures the country's food security. Over the last 3 years, the sector has experienced mixed performance despite government intervention, including subsidized fertilizer and provision of affordable loans to farmers. Jimmy Mbogo takes a look at how the sector has performed under the Kenya Kwanza regime.
Tuliamua sisi ya kwamba we are not going to subsidize consumption, we are going to subsidize production, because that's how intelligent people do it.
This was President William Ruto's plan to lower the cost of food items in the country just months after getting into office. A campaign promise that had catapulted the then UDA candidate to the top office on the back of growing frustration from Kenyans with the high cost of food items. According to the latest data, over 21 million bags of fertilizer have been distributed across 47 counties since 2022, cutting the retail prices of a 50-kilogram bag by nearly 67% from 7,500 shillings to about 2,500 shillings. This is all the government says led to an increase in production, with maize production rising from 34 million bags in 2022 to 47 million bags in 2023. Government now projecting a further growth to over 60 million bags by the end of this harvest season.
We have disbursed and distributed more than 21 million bags of affordable fertilizer, saving farmers 105 billion shillings and cutting fertilizer prices by nearly 2/3. To put it in context, for every 1,000 that farmers were spending on fertilizer before, they are now spending only 330 shillings.
But nearly 3 years down the line and billions of shillings into the fertilizer subsidy program, besides the substandard fertilizer scandal that had hit the program, which saw the then Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mithika Linturi, dropped from the Cabinet docket, and erratic supply of fertilizer, farmers lament that fertilizer alone is not sufficient to bring down the cost of food items.
Bei ya vyakula haiwezi rudi chini kwa sababu si mbolea peke yake ndio inatumika kwa vyakula. Iko mambo kama kukodesha shamba, iko mambo ya leba na shughuli zingine kwa shamba, na hiyo bado karama iko juu. Mbolea peke yake ni sehemu kidogo kwa gharama ya usalishaji, kwa sababu kuna vitu zingine mingi unatumia kwa shamba ndio uweze kufikia ile kusalisha ile mazao ya mwisho.
Mambo kama mbolea, mbolea ingepeanwa bure tu. Bei ya mafuta pia iko juu, wangepunguza mafuta. Hata madawa pia, especially si wakulima wakubwa. Mambo ya madawa pia hata serikali ingesaidia. Madawa za shamba hizi wangepeana hata bure ama wapunguze bei pia.
And though there has been notable improvement in key agriculture subsectors, farmers have expressed concerns over post-harvest losses, calling on the government to put in place measures to ensure their harvest does not go to waste. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Sugarcane farmers are set to benefit from a change in the payment system that will see their payouts calculated based on the sucrose content rather than the current weight basis. The Director, Agriculture and Food Authority, says this new payment system will increase farmers' profits as more reforms are rolled out in the sugar industry. At the same time, the government says it is working to clear all salary arrears for workers in the factories. Brenda Wanga reports on this and other reforms in the industry as the government seeks to revive it.
For decades, sugarcane farmers in Kenya, the backbone of the sugar industry, have tasted the bitter reality of this business. Unstable prices, mismanagement of sugar mills, crippling debt and a flood of cheap imports have in the past conspired to rob the farmer the sweet rewards of their hard labor in the fields. Sugarcane farmers from the Western Kenya sugar belt credit the changing fortunes in the industry to policy changes that are slowly but surely turning the fortunes around for these farmers.
The signing of sugar bill into law is seen by farmers as a game changer. And in fact, it has brought back Kenya Sugar Board. And with Kenya Sugar Board in place, farmers are now able to get loans as we used to get before.
Huko mbeleni tulikuwa tunalima miwa, tunapeleka miwa kwa mafaktori yetu, lakini hawalipi wakulima pesa yao, hawalipi wafanyakazi pesa yao. Sasa tulikuwa tunashindwa kama wamesiaga miwa na hawalipi wakulima, hawalipi wafanyakazi. Ni nini aswa ilikuwa inafanyika?
The passage of the sugar bill and the subsequent re-establishment of the Kenya Sugar Board has rejuvenated the once struggling industry, ensuring fair play for both farmers and millers. The reforms also saw the revival and leasing of state-owned sugar factories like Nzoia, Chemelil, Sony and Muhoroni, ensuring that the factories get the much-needed capital and efficiency, and the results are showing, at least for a section of farmers.
For the first time, farmers are now going to get bonus, which had never happened before. Farmers are very happy and they have so many things to smile about.
We expected the government to have been paying farmers promptly, which has never taken place. Two, we expected cane growing to be effective, and nothing has been done so far. We expected fertilizers to be given to our farmers. Nothing has taken place. We expected the factory to be improved, which to date we can say they are trying, and it has never been done.
The Kenya Sugar Board has now committed to paying salary arrears for sugarcane workers in a recent correspondence, but the farmers say the industry could benefit from more targeted interventions.
Ile loan yenye ilikuwa imebaki ya wakulima. Wakulima wakulipa kwa sababu viwanda yetu yote ilikuwa imeanguka. Hakuna vile wangelipa hiyo loan yenye walikuwa wamepewa. Lakini sahi tukilinganisha vile wakulima wanalipwa, ukipeleka miwa yako unalipwa baada ya siku 7, ambaye wakati wa kitambo ukipeleka miwa yako utalipwa baada ya hata miaka 1.5.
The raw material is there and you cannot access it due to bad roads, and we want these things combined so that the farmer can access the raw material can be accessed at any point.
In the past, the sugarcane farmers have not been accessing the subsidized fertilizer, but as we speak, they are accessing the subsidized fertilizer, and that has made a very big difference from 7,000 per 50 kg to 2,500. This has really increased the cane production, and this is what has made the local mills to produce a surplus of about 4,000 metric tons.
The interventions have seen the farm acreage under sugar plantations rise from 47,123 hectares to stand at 289,631,000 hectares by December 2024. And sugar production jumped by 76% to 815,000 metric tons. The Sugar Board maintains that these reforms will continue with the end goal of turning Kenya from an importer to exporter of sugar. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
When President Ruto's administration took office, they inherited a coffee sector that had left farmers with a sour taste. The promise was to overhaul the system, freeing farmers from the stranglehold of cartels and infusing new life into their livelihoods. But 3 years later, as the air fills with the familiar aroma of a new harvest, it's time to ask, have those promises borne fruit? Tonight, Citizen TV seeks to understand if the reforms have truly sealed the leaks of exploitation or simply created new ones. With that report is Mary Mwoki.
It is now 36 months since the promise of coffee reforms was made. Farmers were told a new dawn was here, one where a never-before-seen reform would sweep the sector and finally plug the leak that cartels had used to siphon off their profits. A promise to replace a bitter brew with a blend of fair trade and money in the pocket of the coffee farmer. And after 3 years of reforms, the question remains, is the cup half full or half empty for the Kenyan coffee farmer?
Kahawa sasa tumebadilika sasa, kahawa imekuwa gold. Hii matunda yote tunafurahia. Kahawa ni gold, serikali imetusaidia. Hii ni ndora, imetutoa mbali. Serikali imetusaidia na sasa mkulima yote Kenya anafurahi. Mkulima wa kahawa tunafurahi kwa sababu tumepata pesa mfukoni ndiye hii.
This factory farmers were paid at a rate of 128 shillings and 80 cents, the highest in the history of coffee farming in Kenya. Since Kenya Kwanza government came to power, these are the best prices ever received. And so we would like to thank the government for the better prices, because most of our farmers will now go back to coffee farming.
The Coffee Sherry Advance Revolving Fund has been termed a game changer in the coffee reforms. By December 2024, nearly 500,000 farmers across 27 counties had tapped into the 6.7 billion in affordable loans, up from just 1.1 billion a year earlier, a 500% leap. Nyeri and Kirinyaga led the uptake, with thousands of farmers turning to coffee to pay school fees, buy inputs and expand their farms. At the same time, reforms have cut out cartels. Farmers now have direct access to buyers. A kilo that sold for 78.9 in 2022 now fetches 120 shillings in 2025, marking a 52% jump. Land under coffee has grown from 109,000 acres in 2022 to 115,000 acres today. The government points to other reforms, including debt waivers for farmers and cooperatives, the introduction of a direct settlement system to ensure payment within 5 days of auction, and the provision of subsidized fertilizer and seedlings in counties. Additionally, cooperatives have been granted direct export licenses, while the Nairobi Coffee Exchange has been streamlined with 16 new licensed brokers, many of them farmer-owned. These interventions, they say, are restoring confidence in markets, including new pushes in China.
We cannot compare now the income from bananas to that one of now coffee farming. So I am clearing everything to now plant coffee.
Production still hovers at 40 to 50,000 metric tons, far from the government's ambitious 150,000 ton target by 2027. And while reforms have boosted morale, farmers warn that global competition, climate shocks and fluctuating prices could yet spoil the brew. Mary Moki, Citizen TV.
Growing yields has been a big part of the Kenya Kwanza administration's agricultural agenda. And right now we are joined by the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization Chair, Dr. Thuo Mathenge from Nyeri. Dr. Mathenge, President William Ruto has pushed increased yields either through fertilizer or even when talking about dairy production. What role does agricultural research play in that endeavor?
Thank you very much from Nyeri, Dr. Thuo Mathenge. We first of all say that the Kenya Kwanza government, through the assistance of President William Ruto, the KARO, the Kenya Agriculture Research Organization, has created a lot of seedlings, has created a lot of seeds through research. We have the most qualified scientists who are doing a lot of scientists. Like we have talked about coffee. Coffee now, the seedlings coffee that we are creating, we have planted. The demand is very high, more than it has ever been through the life of growth of coffee in Kenya. We have created varieties of different beans. We have created varieties of different plants. And the government is really assisting the KARO organization to create more seedlings. And this one will create more food security.
All right, Daktari, when you Google KALRO, you come across the KALRO Good Agricultural Practices Knowledge Hub. And some of what farmers can register for SMSs on is weather forecast, agronomic advisory, agricultural insights and market information. What has been the adoption?
Thank you very much, Oliver, that adoption of the KARO. We created change. KARO has been dormant. It has not been aggressive. But the scientists now that we have who are more qualified than any other scientist in Africa, because many of even African countries are coming to train their scientists at KARO. KARO has become now aggressive on creating, on researching food or crops which are resistant to drought, armyworms and others. And that's how now KARO have changed the lives of many people in Kenya by creating enough seeds, by creating enough seedlings that are changing the lives of Kenyans. We thank the president because of his initiative by supporting KARO to create enough research.
Are those seedlings available across the country? Essentially, how far is your reach?
Orifa, we are going Orofan. You have created a distributorship agency in all the town centers, in all the villages. We want each and every farmer just to walk about 2 kilometers or 1 kilometer to get the seeds from KARO. We are collaborating with the Kenya Seeds, we are collaborating with the KEFIs, and we are giving the farmer the best. But what we want is to make sure that the farmer gets the light seeds, the right quality, and at the right price. That he won't take long before he goes back to her farm, to his farm for planting.
All right, and where do the opportunities for growth lie?
The opportunity of growth, Orifa, lies on high production, on farmers taking up agriculture as a business. Money is in business. We cannot get money in other places because when we create a lot of raw materials like sunflower, like canola, we are attracting the investors to come and create factories for edible oil. I remember last year, Kenya imported worth 117 billion shillings of edible oil. But now we are reducing it by half through the support of the president. We want Kenya to plant sunflower. We want Kenya to plant other production of edible oils. And we want investors from Kenya. They see business in agriculture. They create factory to create and produce oil. We leave alone importing our oil. When we don't import oil, we are creating more employment to our youth because they will be working in these industries. We are also asking the youth to go deep to the farmers, go start agriculture, farm, because there's money in farming.
All right, finally, Dr. Mathenge, how can farmers who are listening, those who want to get into farming, the youth you're referencing, get access to KARO, this information, these seeds?
Thank you very much. We have a forum. We have data and we communicate with the farmers. We have more than 7 million data that we communicate with the farmers and tell them of different seeds that we have, different seedlings that we have. But also at the same time, we are asking even the youth now to join and also create shops of KARO. We are allowing them to brand our KARO Mkulima shop and put up seeds and seedlings that the farmers can reach them in a quick way.
All right, thank you for speaking to us this evening, Dr. Thor Mathenge, who is the chair of the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization. We take a break, but we do have plenty more coming up, including Citizen Planet. Thank you for staying with us on Citizen Sunday Live. Now, before we get into this book, Radio Citizen presenters joined worshippers at Kisima Church in Kawangware for a special Sunday service marking the climax of a 3-day community engagement in the area. Royal Media Services, in partnership with Joy Millers of Raha Premium Flour, have been in Kawangware hosting a series of community activities promoting proper nutrition. The Pambazuka Gospel Show was broadcast live from Kawangware on Radio Citizen.
Connect with God through prayers. It's good to pray all the time.
Ndio maana mmetumia Radio Citizen, ameweza kutumia Joy Millers na ameweza kutumia wewe kuweza kuendeleza uhusiano wetu.
Bible inasema vitu zikuja kwa nyumba ya Mungu. Sasa Kawangware wamefanya vizuri, vitu zitakuja wapi? Kwa nyumba ya Mungu, si ndio? Hata mimi ndaambia mama anichukulie paketi moja, hata mimi nataka raha.
Ukisikia jina Joy Millers, unajua kuna kitu inaitwa Raha Premium. Ukigura raha nyumbani, nyumba inakuwa na raha. Ni kweli?
Ndio maana na sisi Radio Citizen tunapozunguka kwenye makanisa mashinani,
Lengo kuu ni kuangazia Injili. Tunashukuru sana kwanza kwa nyinyi kuwa wasikilizaji wa karibu wa Radio Citizen Chemchemi ya kweli. Tunatambua kuwa bila nyinyi hatuwezi kuwa namba moja. Na kwa sababu ya ushirikiano wenu nasi Radio Citizen ndio imepelekea bado tunaendelea kutambulika na kuongoza na mangapi?
Time now for Citizen Planet, and for years, Nkunga village in Meru County has battled the effects of uncontrolled dumping, with residents forced to endure foul smells and growing health risks. Decomposing waste releases methane gas, a major driver of climate change, while the burning of garbage chokes the air with toxic smoke that worsens respiratory diseases. Lake Nkunga, once a source of fresh water, now lies polluted and abandoned due to its proximity to the dump site. Susan Ndunda reports from Meru County for Citizen Planet.
Meru County, nestled on the fertile slopes of Mount Kenya, is known for its lush miraa plantations, rolling hills, and vibrant communities. But beneath this landscape lies a growing crisis, one that threatens the health and well-being of its residents and the environment. Nkunga, one of Meru County's main dumping sites. A place where garbage is dumped openly, left to rot under the scorching sun and heavy rains. For over a decade, residents have lived with the unbearable consequences. Florence Gideon, a mother and lifelong resident of Nkunga, has seen her health ravaged by toxic fumes. But the smoke is only part of the problem.
Mimi niko na allergic bronchitis. Sasa wakichomanga ile takataka, ile moshi inakuja sababu inatembea kote kwa hewa. Sasa naanza kupiga chapia, kukohoa, kuhema na kufungana. Sasa kuna hata siku daktari alipigiwa na mzee wangu nikiwa karibu kukufa kabisa, akatuletea ndawa.
When the rains come, swarms of flies invade, turning daily life into a constant battle for survival.
Hata tukiwa na harusi ama tuwe na any function ya yote, kukura tunakuwa na sinda sana sababu ya inzi. Inzi inaingia kwa sakura karibu milioni 1. Kwa hivyo kujaribu labda utupe ama ufague halafu ndio ukule mahali.
Lake Nkunga, once a lifeline for the community and lying just a stone's throw from the dump site, is now shunned by residents.
Unajua hapo ni mko mlima juu. Ile maji hiyo maji ya mvua ikikuja inateremka kwa hiyo. Unajua kuna masindano ya hospitali. Sasa hiyo maji yote hiyo maji ya mvua inateremka mpaka kwa hiyo lake yote.
Rispa Mokaya is busy cleaning, but the flies make this simple duty an arduous task.
Hizi zimekuwa mingi sana. Hata unaona hata vyenye ninafua nguo venye zinanidandia. Ukipika chakula kwa nyumba, huwezi pika kama umefungua hata dirisha hata nini. Unaingianga kwa nyumba ukifunga mlango. Juu ukiingia tu hivi hizi zimekufuata kama 20.
Scientists say this is not just a local nuisance. It is a ticking time bomb for the environment and public health.
These waste rot in open air without oxygen. So it produces this methane and carbon dioxide gas. So this methane and other gases tend to block like ozone layer, and it acts like, a blanket, and this has impact. And now we are talking of global warming. All these increases the global warming, and we've seen the crisis we've been having in country and beyond, in terms of prolonged droughts. So when it rains, we have floods that damage property, and also we have loss of life.
The problem goes beyond air pollution. Water sources, including Lake Nkunga near the dump site, are now contaminated and unsafe for use.
Rains we'll have water filtering through those like a waste, and eventually these will be carried to water bodies, and it will, like, there's also seepage into the ground, which affect the soil fertility. Getting their water from that source, again, this is a disaster.
The Ministry of Environment in Meru County says strategies are in place to address the waste problem.
I understand the challenges that are there in that dump site, and we have set aside a budget to manage that dump site well, to make sure it is in a manner that it does not affect the residents around it there.
After highlighting this issue, Meru County took action by spraying insecticide and putting out the smoke that had been affecting residents near the dumping site.
Fanya fumigation. Hii fumigation tunaifanya kwa sababu ya inzi, houseflies, na pia wadudu wengine ambao wanaweza kuwa katika dump sites ambao wanaweza kueneza magonjwa.
A move that brings hope to the residents of Nkunga 10 years late, but hopeful that the actions taken will be consistent for years to come to give them back their village as it was before the dump site.
Now, and KCB Rugby closed the 2025 National Sevens Circuit in style, defeating holders Kabras Sugar 12-5 to win the final leg of the Dala Sevens in a rain-soaked Jomo Kenyatta Stadium in Kisumu. The bankers had already sealed the overall circuit crown after a dramatic 15-14 quarter-final victory over Strathmore Leos, but Sunday's evening triumph capped a historic season. They reached all 6 finals, lifting 4 titles and finishing runners-up twice to post a record-breaking 126 points. The victory delivers KCB a remarkable 7th Dala Sevens championship and a 5th overall National Sevens Circuit title, cementing the bankers as undisputed kings of Kenyan rugby. All right, that's the sports, and it's about time we get into Green for Life. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Olive.
Quite a read already, and I don't recommend many things, but this is very interesting, I have to say. And a lot of people associate you with trees. Plant your age.
Because trees is everything.
Yes, but I didn't know that you had so much of a history in sports, because I see here as chairman of Cricket Kenya, the buck would stop with me.
Yes.
All right, so we'll get into that. We'll take a break first so that you can grab your tea, grab your notebook if you, if you need to, and join us as we get into Green for Life with Dr. Isaac Kalua Green.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting me.
See you on the other side.
Thank you.
Kalua's Green Memoirs.